Hey everybody, it's Ray again. It's a part two of our TV classic of the week, The Honeymooners, part two, one of my favorite shows of all time. All right. On The Honeymooners, there was no what they call story arc. In other words, one episode you might see Ralph bringing home a puppy, and they decide to keep the dog. The next week, there's no dog. Then one episode, they have a telephone. They keep the telephone. Next week, no phone. Well, remember the TV, and Morton and they had a battle. Who's going to have the TV in which apartment? Next week, no TV. So there was no story that went from week to week. The title on The Honeymooners wasn't always The Honeymooners. When it was conceived by Gleason, it was either the ideas were The Beast. Can you believe that? The Beast? The Lover, or The Couple Next Door. That was going to be the title. They finally settled on The Honeymooners, and that was it. The original premise of The Honeymooners was much darker than what we see. Coney was in the original concept of The Honeymooners, one of the original sketches when a cop. He was a cop. And there were thoughts of having Ralph and Alice having a child. Or we been adopting a child. And the name would have been, I'm not kidding you, Ralph Fida. Ralph Fida would have hit the name of the dog. Can you believe it? When Audrey Meadows was hired as when she got the role as Alice Cranley, Gleason met her. Gleason looked at pictures. Actually, Gleason thought she was too pretty, too attractive. He wanted somebody who he thought was more a homebody, more of a homemaker. She didn't get the role at first. Audrey Meadows really wanted this role. So what she did was she hired a photographer. One morning she woke up, hair all a mess, wearing old bathrobe, with no makeup. She looked her best. The photographer took pictures. Sent them over to Gleason. Gleason looked at the pictures and said, "That's our Alice. That's our Alice. Get her. Where is she?" Gleason was floored to find out that was Roger Meadows, who he had met before. Some people were so concerned and so into the show that Alice would get gifts in the mail from the viewers, like aprons, curtains. Gee, Alice, you have your apron is dirty. Here's a new apron on me, or here's the curtains. This really went on during the run of the show. They did absolutely love this show. But Gleason decided that the show was a hit at first. Gleason signed what happened was before the Honeymooners got their regular gig, the Honeymooners, as I explained, part one was originally a sketch. Gleason decided to sign a 3-year contract. And Gleason was making $11 million at the time, which back in the mid-50s was the equivalent of making $125 million. That's how big it was. Gleason's contract had he would make $65,000 per episode of the Honeymooners, which was big money. Big money. Carney, listen to this. Gleason was getting $65,000. Carney was getting $3,500. What a drop off. Audrey Meadows, $2,000 an episode. Joyce Randolph, $500 an episode. It sounds like peanuts now, but then it was still good money. But what a drop off from Gleason to the others. Audrey Meadows was the smartest one to do it. I'll tell you what. She had this, Audrey Meadows, I don't know if you noticed it, but after her acting career was over, Audrey Meadows became a banker. She knew about finances. She knew what to do with money. She had a brother who put it in her contract that out of those original classic 39 episodes, nobody knew what syndication was back then. Nobody knew. That's when honeymooners really made their money, when honeymooners really became popular and overwhelmingly famous, especially like in the 80s. There was a revival of everything honeymooners. The police had even thought about bringing the show back. And what happened was when they started showing the honeymooners in syndication, especially in the 80s, Audrey Meadows had it in her contract that for every time the honeymooners was played on syndication, she was getting cut. Why? Because her brother was a lawyer, and before she signed the original contract to do the honeymooners, he had it put in there that she would get any residuals. No other actor, including Cardi, George Riddle, had that in their contract. She thought so far ahead of time that she had her brother put that in the contract. But thank God she did for her, because you can imagine how much money she made over the years. Some of the reviews of the honeymooners back then, well, they generally got good reviews. Well, good ratings. Rollicking, slapstickery. Harry Coda really hurt the ratings because people got a taste of it in the news. They really liked it. It was a #2 show in the country, other than I Love Lucy. But they missed Harry Como. So what happened was, and of course back then nobody had DVRs, they couldn't tape it. So what happened was they moved the honeymooners from 8:30 up to 8 o'clock to try to get a nudge on. But from what we've talked about in the past about other shows, when they start monkeying around with the days of the show, the times of the show, that's a red flag. That tells you, something's not right here. Remember, it's like the old Oliver effect. We talked about the Brady Bunch. They brought Oliver in at the end, tried to boost the ratings up, and it never worked because everybody hated that kid. But so they started monkeying around with the honeymooners, the time, and that was sort of the downfall. Now, what happened was, this is why the honeymooners was canceled after one season. First of all, Gleason thought that they were running out of original ideas after the 39 episodes. And the writers felt kind of restricted because you got to remember, when the honeymooners was a sketch, when Gleason had the Jackie Gleason show, the variety show, like that went on for an hour and a half, the writers, they had more free reign. They could write a sketch that maybe went 35 minutes. Here, when they were doing the honeymooners episodes, they were limited to like 22, 24 minutes, and with the commercials. And the writers, that really hurt them a great deal. What happened was Gleason decided for time. He said on the Johnny Carson show in the mid-80s, I gotta tell you about this too. He said, Carson asked him that. He said, Jackie, the honeymooners were such a success. You were getting good ratings. Why did you decide to end the show? And he said, well, a couple of reasons. Again, we thought we were running out of original ideas. We knew what we were doing was good. The writing was excellent. didn't want to spoil what we did. We didn't want to go to a second season. We could have, but we didn't want the quality of the show to suffer. What we did was good. Leave well enough alone. Multiply the money. That was the thing. Gleason owned those 39 cents probably. He eventually sold those episodes to CBS for $1.5 million. Now, it seemed like a lot of money back then, but that was just peanuts when you think about it. How much money did Honeymooners made in syndication? We know it was filmed in Manhattan. There were 1,000 people in the audience, and they filmed it. It was in front of a live audience, but it was not. How should I explain this? It was not filmed before a live audience in the sense that they could still spruce it up with canned laughter if they had to. You know what I'm trying to say? But they did have real people there watching the Honeymooners episodes, and they had up to 1,000 people there. And as you know, famously so, Gleason refused or hated rehearsing. He just hated it. He would never rehearse. And this is another thing Parson used to about in the 80s. Why? He said, well, I always thought that rehearsing was a waste of time. He said, I thought it took away from the spontaneity of the performance. So what happened was this. That's fine. But if you don't rehearse, you may miss a line. You're the actor you are acting with. Make it through. For instance, what they all made cues. Gleason had a photographic memory. He could look at a script, he could memorize it just like that, and he was ready to go. And I guess he thought maybe everybody was like that. I guess he thought, wow, this is easy. That was just him. Not everybody was like that. So what happened was the actors came up with different cues to alert each other that they forgot everything. For instance, when Gleason would pat his stomach, that was his cue to Audrey Meadows or Party that he forgot his next line. So what would happen was they would have to wing it. They'd have to get around that to get around to the next line. And they would just improvise. Audrey Meadows, she had a cue too. If you ever watch the Honeymooners, you see her all of a sudden looking at the ice box for no reason. No one's going into the ice box. She's talking to Ralph at the table. That's her cue that she forgot. Gleason would just have to go with it. So when Gleason moved to Miami in 1966, that's when he made the big move from New York to Miami. He was okay with Audrey Meadows not going. He understood that she could not commute down to Miami. So, and she didn't want to live there. So he said, but the one person we absolutely have to have if we intend on filming any more Honeymooners segments is Art Funny. We cannot substitute for Funny. So basically, he gave Harvey the work. He said, we need you. I'll give you anything you want. Come down to Miami. Do the Honeymooners with me. And because you're such a big show, part of the show. And it showed Emmys during the run of the Honeymooners. Art Carney won 5 Emmys. And again, be aware, the Honeymooners did not last very long. So with 5 Emmys was pretty impressive on Carney. Audrey Meadows won 1 Emmy as Best Supporting Actress. Gleason, 0 Emmys. Can you believe that? Jackie Gleason was the one who conceived of, helped to write, the Honeymooners was Ralph Cramden. And he zero Emmys, is that right? Something's wrong with it. Classic TV, it's classic episodes. You gotta hear this before I out of TV Guide's 100 greatest episodes. So this is encompasses all the shows in TV history. Gunsmoke, Bonanza, I Love Lucy, Walking Down Cotter, My Mother in the Car. Out of all, TV Guide came up with the 100 greatest episodes of all time. The Honeymooners had 4 episodes, which made the cut. Number 26 was the one where Ralph and Ed got the TV. Mr. Captain Video. Ralph wanted to watch the drama shows, and Ed wanted to watch the Captain Video space shows and westerns. And they fought over the TV, who was going to have the TV and who's a partner. Ed would come down in the middle of the night, watch TV while Ralph and Alice were sleeping. Classic. It was voted number 26 out of 100. Number 56 out of 100 was the golf film. That's the one where Ralph learns how to play golf. And of course, the famous iconic moment where Ed Norton goes in, addresses the ball, and says, "Hello, ball." And that was 56. Number 7 all-time TV episode was the one where Ralph and Ed filmed the TV commercial, Better Living Through TV. And Ralph was dressed like this chef in the future. And so as Norton, they had this little gimmick thing that opened bottles, or it was like a Swiss Army knife thing that would all 10 things in one. And they tried to do it, and he couldn't open the bottle on TV. And Ralph ends up hitting his finger and crashing into things. And yeah. And during that episode, a gadget fell off of the Swiss Army knife he was using, which was unscripted. And Gleason went around the prop and picked up the gadget, improvised, put it back on, and said something for him to say. But that was not in the script. And the number 6 show, and this one has to be important. Number 6 of all time was the Honeymooners episode, the $99,000 question, where Ralph gets on the quiz show, the TV show, and he's the star, and he's been prepping for the show all week, and it's a music show, and you prep it, and then Norton comes down during the week and plays the piano. Ralph tries to memorize every single song that was written up until 1956. And the apartment can't get any sleep. Mrs. McCarty comes down, screams, does an Italian song, and Ralph guesses it. Oh, I give up. And every song that Ed Norton plays a piano, by the way, they rented a piano just for that week. Every week, every song that Ed Norton plays, he has to start out with a no matter what. And Gleason asked him, he says, "Why must you start every song with and Norton says, "That's my warm up. We have pitchers warm up before a ball game. I warm up before I play the piano with." So they get to the shoot. The very first question. Well, first of all, Gleason says to the host, he says, "Okay, I want it known right here and right now." Because he's so sure he's going to win the $99,000, which was a lot of money that day. He says, "I want you to know I'm not stopping. I'm not taking a mere $10,000. That's just peanuts. And so he says, "Now, I want you to know, and I want everybody out there in TV to know, that I'm going straight on to the $99,000 answer." And they give him this big thing. So, okay. So they ask him the first question, which is it's the easiest question. Any moron could get it, right? They ask him, "Who is the composer of Swanee River?" And Gleason's like, "Swanee River?" It's going blank. That's one song he didn't study. And he said, "Play Mr. Cramden a little Swanee River." And all of a sudden in the background you hear the same intro that Ed Norton was playing the whole freaking week. He didn't know. So the classic answer from Gleason is, "Your time's running out. Woody, give us an answer." Habana. Ed Norton? "Oh, sorry, Mr. Cramden. It was Stephen Foster. Thanks for coming." And he's off the show. All these dreams about winning the $99,000 are dashed just like that. And as they drag Ralph Cramden off the stage, he's giving all these other scenes. "Good night, Mr. Cramden. Good night. Good night." There were 2 good nights. Good night, it was just classic shit. That was the number 6 on the list of all time greatest episodes in TV history. The only time the cast broke tradition, you never break the tradition of having what they call the third curtain. The curtain is nearly fantasy. These characters on TV during their Christmas episode, they go character, and after the show, then Baby You're the Dreams. Crandy comes through Gleason comes through the curtain and says, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, we usually don't look at a character, but I think it's appropriate that we wish everybody a Merry Christmas." So Gleason's there in his bathroom with Audrey Meadows and Art Carney and Joyce Randolph come in, they're all dressed up. And they come and they stand there, applause, and they wish everybody Merry Christmas. And it's just great. It's great stuff. You know that Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies, had a segment of the Honeymooners in it where Michael J. Fox is eating dinner with his mother and father, who are back in the 50s, and they watching dinner and having they roll up the TV, and there's an episode of The Honeymoon, The Man in Space. Actually, at that time, that episode of The Man in Space, the year was correct. The movie got that right. But at the time frame, Rob, the Man in Space episode actually aired on New Year's Eve, 1955, whereas in the movie Back to the Future, it was November the 5th, 1955. The actual episode of the Gleason show, which was showing on November 5th, 1955, was the one where Norton sleepwalks and Cramden tries to solve his sleep. The final episode of 39 is the one where Ralph pretends that he is a big shot because Alice's ex-boyfriend is coming to town with his wife, and Ralph doesn't want to feel like he hasn't made it. He only has a lowly bus driver's job. And meanwhile, this guy, his ex-boyfriend, has this big job, this big corporation job, supervision job. And Ralph offers, they go out to dinner with them. Ralph offers to pay the big bill for this fancy restaurant, thinking that the friend is going to pick up the check. He doesn't pick up the check. Ralph is stuck with no money. Big laugh at the end. Tells the truth. I don't have enough money. The friend says, neither do I. I lied about being a supervisor. They all pull their money together to pay for dinner. Classic stuff. Classic stuff. So to end, as we know, Viacom owns the 39 original episodes that are in syndication. The Gleason estate still owns to this day the so-called lost episodes. And finally, we talked about the characters and where they rank in TV history. TV Guide in 2002, out of the 50 greatest TV shows of all time, named The Honeymooners as number 3, the third greatest show ever in TV history. Mind you, one season of Honeymooners. And the Writers Guild in 2013 named, out of 101 shows, named The Honeymooners, again, number 3, the third best written TV show of all time. I had to. I have the collection, the Honeymooners collection with all 39 episodes, the outtakes. Watch it. But there's nothing but like going through the channels, finding the Honeymooners on something, even though you've seen it 1,000 times. It's the Man in Space. I see that one. And watching it again. And even though it's what, next year will be 70 years since the Honeymooners debut, it's still funny as well. It still cracks me up. And I'm sure it cracks you too. Because there's nothing in it. And there never will be a show of Honeymooners ever again. Thanks for watching my TV Classic of the Week. This is part 2. I hope you find part 1 on Facebook or on Twitter, and you check them too. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Next week we'll have another 10 Classic. And away we go. How sweet it was. See you tomorrow.